Today we're going to go through what the track is going to be about, so you can start designing the robot itself, as well as I'm going to go through how to write the design proposal for your project. Okay, this design proposal is worth 10%, okay, of your coursework marks, and then we will talk about working in teams. Okay, since most of you are not very familiar with your teammates because they may come from different sections, so we are going to talk about team dynamics and how you're going to work together. All right, so let's get to it. First of all, there are 4 checkpoints on the track that you have to pass through. Okay, passing each of these checkpoints will get you 5 marks. All right, so these are scores that you need to achieve. Okay, and the 4 checkpoints, first is a motion in a straight line. Second, it is a 290 degrees turning. And third, it is an uphill and downhill slope with an inclination of 30 degrees. And the 4th one is a tightrope balancing and maneuvering. So this is what your Robo race track would look like. After each section, there will be a checkpoint. If you can pass this checkpoint, you will automatically get 5 marks. Okay, if you make it to the end, that means you will get the 20 marks for maneuvering. All right, all this information is already uploaded to Open Learning. So please don't come and ask, where can I see this, where can I see this, where can I see grouping? Everything is already up on the Open Learning, okay? All right, let's move on to the next part. So what is it that makes a successful project? Okay, in your engineering degree, when you move on, every semester you need to work on a project, okay? I myself have worked on more than 10 different projects already. So what makes a successful project? Okay, there are 3 main areas that makes your project successful. Okay? Your project has to be within budget, within the time, and of a certain quality. So that's what you're trying to achieve with your own respective robots. You must be within the budget, you must complete it within the time, and the quality here represents that your robot is able to complete the course. Okay? So what the design proposal is about, it's about writing how you're going to achieve all these main areas, and what you're going to do, and how you're going to do them. Okay? So imagine I am the person giving you the funds for your project. Okay, how are you going to convince me to give you this money into building this robot? If your design is not good, if your proposal is not good, I won't feel convinced to give you the money. Okay, because it's just wasting funds. So design proposal, most of the time in real life, is all about getting investors, venture capitalists to invest in your project. All right, so this is a process that we would go through again and again when you do your engineering projects. Every single project that you do, you would need to submit a proposal first because we will want to know how you're going to approach it, what you're going to do. It's not just blindly giving you the materials, giving you the money, and let you run and do stuff according to whatever you like. It's all about coming up with a solid plan, a good idea, and telling me how you're going to execute it, convincing me enough that I'm willing to invest in you. That is what the design proposal is about. Okay? So your proposal would contain many different elements. Okay? In order to have a good design proposal for your level, you need to hit all these different content materials. Okay? So naturally, you need to have an executive summary, an introduction. You need to tell me what materials and resources you need to complete the project. What is the budget that we are looking at? How much funds that you need? Okay. We are going to talk a bit about Gantt charts, how to do them, what's a Gantt chart. We need to talk about organizational structure. This is a team that we are working in. We need to have proper organization. We need to distribute tasks. And lastly, we will conclude the design proposal. Okay. All right. So first, let's look at what makes an executive summary. So executive summary is basically a 1-page summary of the entire project. When I read an executive summary, I should be able to understand head to toe of what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, what is the purpose of the project, what is the overall product that I'm supposed to look at. Okay, that is what your executive summary is supposed to be. So it is a 1-page document explaining to anybody who has no knowledge of the project what is happening. Okay, so it consists of many different areas, all put together in one. So we start off with the background of the project. followed by the objective, and the scope of work that you are doing. So how much you're doing, how little you're doing, we need to know that, as well as what you're going to deliver at the end of the project. Is it a functioning robot, or is it just a display robot, or is it a robot that can do many different things? Okay, you also need to tell me what is the budget and what is the deadline of achieving this project. Unfortunately for you, the deadline has already been set, so everyone has to work according to this time frame. Okay? Thanks. All right. How many of you have heard of what is a Gantt chart? Raise your hand. Okay, so many of you are unfamiliar with the term Gantt chart. So Gantt chart is basically a chart that tracks the tasks that needs to be done. Okay, on the top we would have the timeline. So that could be days, that could be weeks, that could be months. It could be week 1, week 2, week 3, month 1, month 2, month 3. And at the side we have the task. Okay, every single task that you need to do, and which task requires another task to be completed. We can see it all very clearly here. Okay, so the purpose of the Gantt chart is for you to monitor the progress of your project. If you have set an appropriate amount of time for a particular task in your project, you need to achieve that, because from this we can see exactly how the rest of the tasks will be affected if there are any delays in one of the tasks. Okay, so this is a very simple Gantt chart, but what we are looking at achieving from you is something that looks like this. Okay, every single thing that you need to do for the project has to be in the Gantt chart. Every single milestone that you need to hit for the project has to be in the Gantt chart. Okay, the timing that you give for each task has to be appropriate to the amount of work needs to be done. All right, everyone needs to think of which task comes before and which task comes after. How to do them, when to do them. Okay, for instance, if I were to say I want to test the robot, can I do the testing if I have not built the robot? So you need to have an appropriate amount of time into the building of the robot, then only you can do the testing. Okay, so if you plot out a chart like this for your project, us as supervisors would be able to help you achieve this timeline according to whatever you've set. Okay, we don't want you to go in there and not know what you're supposed to do each week. We want you to have a very clear objective of what task needs to be completed every single week you come for the class, so that we can all finish on time and you can all succeed as well. All right? All right. One hard copy per group has to be submitted on the 13th of September by 4:30 p.m. Okay? Anyone who submit after the time, marks will be deducted. Okay? And we do not tolerate plagiarism again. The same like your lab reports. You cannot copy from group to group. Okay? It is a hard copy. One group only submit one. Okay? This is a team effort. Every single thing that you do in your project, it is a team effort. All right? So anybody has any questions so far about the proposal? Okay? After this, because I plan to have the class for about a short while, and then we can all go into our groups, and we can start working out what needs to be done and how to do it so that we don't waste any time, we start immediately, okay? The proposal is not something that you can do in 1 or 2 nights. It's not something you can wait until the 11th of September to start doing. If you don't start now, I can tell you your proposal will not make it in time on the 13th of September. Okay? So this is a very, very important part because it really tests you on the entire plan for the rest of the semester. Okay? This is not set up by me, it is set up by yourself. You need to know when exactly you are doing the planning. Okay? So after you've submitted the proposal, the following week we plan to give you the Arduino boards. That is when you really kickstart the building of the project. The reason why we don't want to pass you boards right now is because you have not done any research or any classes to teach you how to use these boards. It's like giving you something that you don't know how to play with. So there's a risk that you might damage it and so on and so forth. That's why we keep it with us until after you have done your proposal, which is where we hope that by this stage you already have a clear knowledge of what to do with it, how to use it, as well as what to do next. Then we will pass you the boards. Okay? After this, it's all entirely up to your own creativity on building the robot and testing it when we come to November. Okay? So you have plenty of time to complete it. Okay? Anyone has any questions about this? No? Okay, if everyone is very clear about the proposal, then I can expect that we would get very good quality proposals out of each single team, okay? Because there's 4 or 5 of you in a team and you're meant to work together, and we want to see how well you bounce ideas off each other, how well you brainstorm, how well you discuss, okay? The key to a successful project is a communication between your members, okay? This is not something that you can do alone, by yourself, you know, that kind of stuff. All right, another main important thing is that starting from this week onwards, each team needs to record a meeting log, okay? The template for your meeting log is already on Open Learning for a couple of days. All you have to do is fill out these meeting logs every single time you meet. This is to ensure that your group meets each other at least once a week, all right? Meetings are very important because that's when you can actually check on the progress of each of your team members, see who needs help, what needs to be done, is everything according to plan, okay? So at the end of week 18, we will compile all your meeting logs, at which time you would have 13 different meeting logs, 1 for each week, and this is a minimum requirement. Give appropriate marks to it, okay? What we want to see is who contributes more to the project, who is just sitting back and not doing anything. All these things has to be noted down in your meeting logs. Who says what was discussed, what's the plan for next week, what is the task that each members have to do within that 1 week. That's what we want to see, okay? Meeting logs are something that, again, is a requirement that we do in engineering, and it's gonna happen again and again and again. So being an engineer doesn't just mean, you know, working on hands-on project. It's about documenting everything as well. So throughout your 5 years in engineering, you are going to see a lot of report writing, a lot of proposal writing, a lot of meeting logs. Because part of documenting this is the hope that in the future, when anyone else does this again, they have some form of reference to their work, okay? All right, so now you're working in teams, and why we call it teams and not groups, okay? Groups are like your lab groups, okay? All of you are there doing something, but for your own self, okay? At the end of the day, you're assessed individually. Everyone's there for themselves. Team is different. You are there as a unit, okay? If the team fails, everybody would fail. So team and groups are totally different things, okay? Now you're working as a team. Okay? Everyone needs to carry their own weight in order to make the whole team successful. A project cannot be successful if the team is not successful. All right? And why do we work in teams is because in your engineering field, a lot of the work that you'll be doing in your career is in teams. Okay? And these are teams of people from different backgrounds, different disciplines. They might not even come from engineering. They might come from computing, they might come from business, and these are still teams, okay? Knowing how to work well with others from different backgrounds is an important skill that you need to pick up, all right? Another reason is because a lot of the work as engineers, when we do them, it's in multidisciplinary forms, okay? There is no project that is purely just chemical. When you look at Shell, they don't just hire chemical engineers, they hire mechanical as well. They hire civil engineers as well. And these are the type of multidisciplinary teams that we hope to get out of you as well. So you may say that you want to do chemical engineering, you want to do mechanical engineering. What does this project have to do with me? But at the end of the day, all these little skills that you pick up would definitely help you when you progress into engineering, because it gives you an insight into how an electrical engineer speaks. What jargons do they use? How do you communicate with a different kind of engineer? Okay? Another reason for working in teams is because we want to encourage you to develop soft skills. Soft skills are stuff like leadership, communication, teamwork, and all these kind of skills, which you won't get from just going to classes and doing homeworks and that kind of thing. It's when you do hands-on work with other people. That's when you deal with stuff like conflicts and you know, if your teammates are fighting, what should you do? How do you resolve conflicts? And trust me, there will definitely be conflict in your team. You may look like you are friends right now, but I have supervised more than 50 different projects, and I've seen teams break down and fail, and all because of conflict, okay? So conflict is surely it's surely going to happen in your teams. But how well you manage the conflicts, how you deal with it, that's what defines you as a successful team from a failure team, okay? All right. When it comes to teams, we know that team dynamics go through a lot of different processes. One of the common processes it goes through is what we call forming, storming, norming, and performing. So these are stages in which your team would go through. So we have just passed the forming stage, which is where you guys got together, and today you're sitting in your team, so that's the forming stage. The storming stage is where your ideas start to come in, okay? There's more than one of you in the team, and each of you have your own opinions, your own ideas. When you express them, how well does other people accept it? If you don't like an idea, do you say it? If you know that idea is not going to work out for your project, do you just keep quiet and do it, or do you say it? Okay? So when you do these kind of things, there's definitely going to be some form of debate and discussion, and there may even be arguments. Okay? If your team managed to move past the storming stage, we go to the norming stage, which is where you set out tasks and rules, who needs to do what needs to be done. And after you get this settled and everyone is doing their work, you move on to the performing stage, where everybody is pulling their own weight and the project is going smoothly. So that's the regular stages that we would see in forming, storming, norming, and performing. So please don't be alarmed when, especially as new engineers, when there's disagreements and arguments. It is normal. It is entirely normal. There is no way that each one of us can just sit there and accept another person's idea without discussing and going through it. It is normal, okay? So I've seen lots of different arguments, and I've seen how people resolve them. So it is a very regular process that we go through when we work in teams. This may be new to you, but it is a process that we like you to go through nonetheless, okay? A good team does not mean that a team doesn't fight at all throughout the entire process. Actually, when you fight, it shows that people are very passionate about the team, and they all want the team to be successful. And there's no right or wrong in the project. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and it is how you voice it and how you convince others that your opinions and your ideas are the one to follow. That's what it's important when working in a team. Okay? All right, so just a few team working skills that you need to think about every time you work together. So when we say team, it means one unit. So decisions made as a team has to have consensus from all the members. If you want to play it democratically or if you want to follow the leader, it's entirely up to you, as long as the entire team has consensus. Everybody needs to contribute and provide the ideas, and everyone needs to decide together, okay? What we don't want to see is when you come to us and say, I don't like this idea, but I'm forced to follow it, okay? We don't want to speak to individuals, we want to speak to teams, okay? Decisions have to be decided as a team. Steps has to be taken as a team. Whatever you do should be done in a team. So what we want to talk to teams. We don't want to talk to individuals. If you have issues as an individual, you need to resolve it with your teammates, okay? Our role here is not to be your counselor, not to be the one who tells you what to do, but be the one who supports you in the sense that whenever you need help in terms of technical support, that's when we will support you. We are not here to be guidance counselors to tell you, no, you cannot say things like that, no, you shouldn't say this. That is for you to discover on your own in your teams, okay? This is going to be a very good learning process, and it's going to last for weeks to come, all the way up to the end of the semesters. So it is a very good chance for you to experience all this team working and team building kind of environment where you really test your own capabilities as well as test how well you work with others, okay? Okay. Another few items that will help you start out your teamwork experience. First, after this class, what I want you to do is I want everyone in their teams to start identifying your strengths and weaknesses as an individual, okay? Remember, the team is one unit. So what I want you to do is basically to come out with your own strengths and your own weaknesses, because I'm sure all of us have skills that we are good at as well as skills that we are lacking. And I want you guys to sit together and talk about it, okay? Identify who complements who. What skills are you lacking? Who has the skills that you don't have? And that's all about becoming one team. When you don't have a skill and your teammate has the skill. That way, you can have the most suitable working environment to achieve a particular goal, okay? Never ever hide your mistakes. If you made a mistake in the project, you need to say it. You need to tell your teammates. That is the first thing you should do, okay? Because again, this is a learning process. If you make a mistake, it's a good chance for everyone to learn from it. And if you don't tell your teammates about it, we can't fix the mistakes together. Okay? So what we want you to do is make as much mistakes as you can. That is something that you will learn. For me personally, when I make a mistake, I don't make it again. Okay? So if you make a mistake now, it's fine because you're still in a foundation level. This is the opportunity for you to make mistakes. Okay? Nobody is here to say that that's wrong, you get a 0. No, we are here to help you overcome mistakes and challenges and make sure you can be the best engineer that you can be. Okay? You need to establish certain rules and regulations in your team, okay? When I have teams, I normally have ground rules. Stuff like, every time you have a meeting, you need to turn off your phone. What time do we need to meet? What to do if you are not coming for the meeting? You know, at what time do you report? And these are like standards that each team should set on their own. How strict you want to be, how lenient you want to be, it's entirely up to you. But if you don't have these rules, people do not know what they need to do. Okay? If you leave everything to be very flexible, very open, there are times that people would slack off. And projects like this are not something that is, I would say, very easy to be done. It still requires a lot of effort and a lot of passion that you need to put into it. And by having rules and helping you guys set out clear-cut responsibilities, it would help your team succeed, okay? We don't want people to say, okay, oh, my leader didn't tell me to do this, that's why I didn't do it. It should be responsibilities that is divided from the very beginning, and everybody should know what they are supposed to do from the start. Okay? All right, so yeah, this is what we've done already. So. All right, another important point is communication. I noticed, particularly in my physics class, a lot of you are very shy to speak out, okay? Being engineers, you cannot be shy, okay? Presentations will come again and again throughout your 5 years, okay? Why we would push you to speak well is because as engineers, what we do, we design, we come up with ideas, we build products. But do you know who makes the money at the end of it? The business people. They would take your ideas and they would sell it. All because they can communicate well. So why can't, as engineers, you be the one who sell your own product? You be the designer, you be the one who builds it, and you be the one who sells it, okay? So communication is a very important skill. If for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable speaking out, you don't feel like you want to talk in front of the public, you don't feel like you can stand up and speak to a crowd like this, now's the time for you to change, okay? For the coming few weeks, we are definitely going to push every single one of you as individuals. We are going to push you to talk, we are going to push you to speak, and we are going to have you speak in front of others as well. Okay? This is not a one-on-one communication skill kind of thing, to see how well your English is. No. This is how well you present yourself to others, how well you have spoken, and communicate your ideas to other people who don't believe in you. That's what communication is about. Okay? Communication is about how you actually tell somebody that you want to do this, you want to sell this, and make them believe in you. Have them on your side. That's what the communication in engineering is all about. Okay? There's going to be a lot of communication in your teams, but what we want to see is communication within other teams. We understand that this is a competition, but that doesn't mean that you would hope that the other team fail. Okay? What we want to see is everyone to be successful. Okay? Definitely, there will be some who's more successful than others, but we do not want to see anybody fail. So if you see another team who's not doing so well, do you talk to them? Do you help them? Okay? Communication is about how you mix with others. Okay? How you resolve conflicts, how you express yourself. Okay? A few items, okay? Because just from a very basic observation that we have from the past few weeks, okay? When I'm talking to you, when you're talking to me, or when you're talking to your friends and others, your eye contact is very important, your body language is very important, how loud you speak is very important, okay? Confidence is very important. Confidence is not something that you can build overnight, that we understand. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a few sets of what we call workshops and trainings, where we try to help you build your confidence and make you brave enough to speak to others. All right, so this is the last slide already. After this, we're going to break out into what we call like a tutorial session where we actually start doing the project. So the importance of communication is how well you say it. Different people have different views, okay? So this is just a very cute little kind of like cartoon. So the first one is how the customer explained it, what project that they want. Then the second one is how the project leader understood it. The third one is how the analyst designed it. Fourth one, how the programmer wrote it. And the fifth one, how the business consultant described it. And you can see that different people have different views. But what is really needed is actually a very simple item. So when you don't communicate effectively, you're inevitably making people confused. There will definitely be conflicts coming up, and this is where all the negativity comes from. So communication itself can actually help you go through so many different processes. All right, so anybody has any questions? Okay, if you have no questions, what we're going to do now is a few simple exercises. The first one, you need to go into your groups, you need to sit down and discuss your strengths and weaknesses, okay? Each person, I want you to list down 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses, okay? Each person. Somebody in the group, take out a piece of paper, write them down. Okay, compare your strengths and weaknesses and identify what is lacking and what is still needed. All right, so please do that now. When you need any help or you don't know how to start, just raise your hand. Yes? How come? Are they absent or have they never? Yeah. All right. Please feel free to use the boards if you want. You can rearrange the tables. You can sit however you want. If you want to use the rooms, it's fine as well. So as long as you get started, okay? All right, I don't want you to just pass the book around and write it down like that. I want you to individually talk about it. So I want you to get this process started. I don't want it written down here like that. This written one is just for my reference. At the end of the day, I just want to collect this. But I want each of you to start knowing the other members, because I'm sure you're from different sections, and you need to know them by name. You need to know what they're good at, what they're weak at. That's the whole idea of these processes. It's not something that we can do just by writing. It's not ice-breaking, it's really starting the project, because then after this one, we're going to get started on a few key items for the proposal. So if you don't start this process, you won't know how to distribute tasks later when we come to the second one. So what I want you to do now is really start talking as much as you can, introducing yourself if you've not known each other yet. Really need to expose yourself, and you need to trust your members with your own strengths and weaknesses, because you cannot hide what you're weak at only to fail in the future, okay? You might be good at something, your friend might be good at another thing, and this is how you complement each other, and that's what working in a team is all about, okay? The challenge here is not about having, okay, if I ask you if I add another member, how much value would that add to your team? What if I add a person who doesn't contribute to your team? Would you rather have an additional member? So what you should focus on now is how you're going to do the project with 4 people. It's not about, having 5 members, 6 members. The more people might not make the project more successful. You need to understand that. More people might even make the project more difficult, right? So really think about how you're going to work out, since there's only 4 of you. Here your strengths become even more valuable. Okay, and just really start talking about how you're going to complement each other, and yeah, good. No, it's not about speed. This exercise is not about speed. It's about taking as much time as you want to really start the project on a good, very good note. Okay. When I say strengths and weaknesses, I want you to think about what you think you can contribute to the project. That's naturally going to be your strength, as well as what you think you are not that good at and you might need help. So if I were to say like, I'm not good at mechanics, okay, immediately we know that, okay, I might need a partner when it comes to building the robot. So this is the processes that you want to go through and to think and kind of get started on, you know, identifying what are the roles in the group, who's better at what, and that kind of stuff.
Say, instead of just writing that down first, you just like say what your strength is. Why is that your strength, you know? And like why is a certain thing your weakness? Sometimes what you think is a weakness could actually be a strength in your teammates' eyes. You know, it's hard to say.
We actually did a meeting yesterday and we came up with some ideas. So this is basically this is our rough idea. Something like this. So yeah.
What do you feel? Find out how you guys would complement each other. Like, you know, how I worked last time in my old project team was that we will have one guy who was better at doing certain things. And naturally, we eventually figured out who was better at doing what, and we just set them off to do that specific task. So, for example, like one guy could be better at programming for you all, one guy could be better at building it or designing it, or you know. So this is the point of this strength and weakness thing. You're supposed to find out like, what do you think would be a better fit for everybody.
We are all bad in chemistry except for him. We are all bad in electronics except for him.
So we can divide the work already.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
We complement each other.
So everyone can we have an idea? They're like surprises.
Destroy the other kid's robot.
You're only running it one at a time.
Budget, that one is easy. No, that one don't really need. It's just simple.
So what you need to think about is like, what sort of materials for the body, what sort of wiring is going to be inside, the connections, the operations, actually what kind of materials that you need to use to make this. Is it bought, or is it going to be loaned, or is it going to be from the lab? You know, sometimes you need certain equipment that's not available where you can get it, is it rented? That all kind of goes into it.
Suggested budget.
No, I don't have suggested. It depends on what kind of robot that you're building. Different people will have different
So it's
ideas.
like, at the end of the day, you're going to take the speed, right? I mean, because the last lecture you all said like the first team gets 25%.
So the race is 45%. The 20% comes from your maneuverability, whether or not you can pass the checkpoints. The other 25% is how fast you pass the checkpoints.
So it's like the teams that don't want to do the fourth stage, how does your 25%?
The speed is for each checkpoint.
Oh.
There's marks. I mean, there may be teams who is fast in this portion, there may be teams who slow in that. We'll take each of this into consideration as well as the overall completion time for the entire track. So if you can go past, let's just say the tightrope portion the fastest, that's definitely an advantage, and we don't want to dismiss that when we compare it with other teams as well, because that's something that you excel in.
Thank you.
Welcome. If you have any other question, you can just ask.
I want to ask, which kind of variable are you using?
Which kind of
Variable have a lot of type of variable, right? What
We are testing different kinds of Arduino board right now. So what we're going to find is one that we can actually easily connect with the iPad. So what we suggest is we're going to look into free iPad apps where you have a built-in Wi-Fi communication between the board and the iPad, so that way you don't have to spend any extra money on that.
So the variable board is decided that.
Yeah. So do you have any other questions? How's your exercise going?
Exercise this is
The strengths and the weaknesses.
Yeah, we finished it. And I'm the only one in this team that have done any project, some project of it, of engineering class. And Suresh have some link that can really
write down the strength and the weaknesses, right?
Yeah, please do.
Write down in the paper.
Yeah. What kind of projects have you worked on previously?
I'm in F1 schools. Have you ever heard of it? No, it's actually building a miniature F1
Like
car.
moving
Yeah, you're moving. Yeah, they move in 20 meters, right? Which is in 1 second.
It's a group work as well.
Yep, 4 teams. I represent Malaysia last year.
Okay, good.
So have some links before, and can we use professional advice from other company? Maybe they can sponsor us.
Yes, that's even better. If you can get sponsors, you can get companies to let you do your work there. You want to build your robots there. That's even better. That's what we see as an added advantage, because part of doing projects as an engineer, a lot of it is getting sponsorship as well. Yeah. It's not about even when you do research, it's not about your own money. It's not about money from universities, grants and sponsors, and this kind of thing where it's going to be a common nature that you work with a limited budget, but if you require extra, how do you get it? How do you convince other people? That's why the proposal is important. Yeah. Because I'm sure when you go to companies and you said, okay, can you sponsor me 1,000, 2,000? It might not be a lot for the company, but can you sponsor me that? Companies would not be willing to give you without a proper proposal. They want to know what they're investing in, and they want to know what are they getting out of it at the end of the day. So, good. As long as you have some experience, that's another advantage. Do you have any other questions, or do you talk with anything?
I think
we can choose our own source of energy, right?
Yeah. You want to be solar powered, you want to be hydro powered, you want to be, it's up to you.
Nuclear power.
It's entirely up to you. The only thing we're limiting you to is the iPad and the Arduino robot.
Yeah.
You want to build a flying robot, you want to build a walking robot, it's up to you. Here it's all about freedom of creativity. Okay, but naturally this creativity has to be able to run the entire track in the shortest amount of time, with the least amount of expenditures, with the least amount of materials, and that's what we're going to see. So how well we balance it, that's up to you.
Okay, I just want to ask one last question. Do you want us to build a really fast robot, or do you want us to build a more innovative robot? Which one do you prefer?
What do you mean by innovative?
I think that it has some features, and it can actually the robot can be sold to a company and innovate into real life. I mean, that robot can actually, it's a new idea that can be sold to other companies.
Do you know why we proposed this robotic challenge in the first place?
It's for us to gain experience.
Actually, right now, robots are the hottest items an engineer can work on. There's a lot of people who's trying to commercialize robots, and in the future, this is definitely the area that engineers will want to go into, and this is the direction that you should head into. So innovativeness, yes, but at the same time, we don't want to neglect the speed, because after all, this is a competition as well. Yeah. Okay. So speed is important, and innovativeness is important. And when we talk about innovativeness, it's not just about making something different or something that's designed. It's something that will make people say, wow. Okay. Your race is going to be held open to public. Oh, okay. So what we want to see is, when you say innovativeness, people from business, from hospitality, when they come across this, they would say, wow.
Okay.
That's what it means by innovativeness. We want that wow factor. So if you can do that, that is definitely great. But at this stage, we really want you first not to think so much ahead, but try to focus back on the main portions of it first. So the maneuverability is the most important one. You must build a robot that can move. Okay. I think anyone who can build a robot that can move at a foundation level is already an achievement. It's not as easy as you think, there's a lot of mechanics behind, there's a lot of technology involved, there's a lot of skills as well. So at this stage, when you're coming up with ideas, it may sound very much doable, but you really need to consider again what are the strengths and weaknesses that you have in the team, and how is this going to affect the project. Okay, because we are working with quite a tight timeline as well. Tight zone. You think it's a lot?
I think so.
I have been supervising projects for quite a while already. Normally projects run for 14 weeks, and I would say not everybody can finish in 14 weeks. Okay? Because it really depends on how much time you want to put into the project. because you need to understand that you have 5 other subjects.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So it's not a pure 15 weeks where you do nothing but the projects. It's how you balance your other studies and the project.
Physics report.
Which is the easiest one, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Teams to identify a team leader and come up with a team name. Okay? This is a very important part when you decide on the team leader because we don't want you to change the leaders after that. So please think carefully and really discuss on who you think is best.
He wants to take it. Next time if you want to change who you want to change to.
To go over my classmates just to make my teacher happy, but I will be kind with you guys. Of course, we are making a garden. Everyone should come. Everyone should help. Yeah, they should help with help.
We have to do the interview thing. I think
They take 2 weeks, 3 weeks to really get to know their members before they start doing anything. And what I want to do is take 2 hours. So after these 2 hours, what you want to do is to be able to start running and go and do the project already. So, okay? Yeah, you guys just continue. Organization structure, as well as identifying key roles and responsibilities in the project. Okay, so this is the next step. If you need any help, please raise your hand. One person may have many roles for the project. Maybe you are the lead or the video, but also you're supporting. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. And everyone in one division can have spread out. What are the divisions also is your choice. If you feel that this item is so small that I don't need anyone in charge of it, then you don't even have to. Alright, attention. So what I want you to do now is have a piece of paper and all the 4 items. Okay? By the end of the class, just come to the front and just pass me a piece of mine. Alright? And if you have any questions, you can post them on Facebook throughout the week. We will answer them. Or if you need any additional help when you want to meet and you need us to be present,